This is our land. Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build a nation together. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah, Remember, the key to success is working hard. For our country, we must have regard. Forget all your differences, let we start to build. And onward to progress we surely will. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation.
Yes, indeed. Now more than ever before, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production. I want to welcome you to the Hub. Again, we have a unique opportunity to talk using social media and the radio to connect. I want to say to those who are viewing me via Facebook and YouTube, please share the live. Sharing is caring. If you're listening to me over the radio, that's Vibes 101.3 FM and Vibes 106.3 FM. Call a friend, call a neighbor, and tell them that you're tuned in to Vibes FM and they can do the same. I want to start off tonight by saying today at the Parliament, it was like a movie because there was a very simple amendment to be made to the Pension Act, and boy, the thing just went in a different direction because the NNP MPs thought that it was a good opportunity to make themselves clowns and to start talking wild all over the place. And our beloved Prime Minister had a very simple message for them.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, while I was at the Roman Catholic Church in P.T. Martinique on Sunday, the learned member of Parliament for St. Patrick West said when the priest indicated that the service was a special service, I think every third Sunday, the church focuses on the word, and the priest challenged members in the congregation, including the honorable member of Parliament for St. Patrick West, to, indicate to the public a biblical verse that he was fond of. And he said, he that kept it is still tongue keeps a wise head. I still challenge him to find the biblical quote, the actual reference for this. But when I was in Presentation Brothers College, one Mr. William Steele, deceased, may his soul rest in peace, who was my physics teacher, once said to me, and I quote, "A silent fool is often taken as a wise man." Mr. Speaker, when we come to the House of Representatives, we owe it first to ourselves and to the public to make sure that we don't just simply come and throw things out and say we're asking questions and say we want clarity when we ourselves make no effort first to seek clarity or to educate ourselves before we speak. Mr. Speaker, and I really didn't want to speak. I didn't even expect, as you said, that there would be debate on this. This is simply a resolution asking to add the TMRSO Community College, a statutory body that is not by any stretch of the imagination entitled to any pension under any of the pension acts. This has nothing to do with public officers. The Planning and Development Authority is statutory body. The Grenada National Stadium Authority is statutory body. The Grenada Cultural Foundation is statutory body. So when we come here and say, you are telling me a teacher at TAMCC has expectations that he or she will be paid under the 1958 Pensions Act? Or that the Stadium Authority, which didn't exist in 1958, that the workers hired by the Stadium Authority would be having any expectation that they would be paid under the 1958 Pension Act? I mean, come on. So, Mr. Speaker, this is the kind of disinformation, misinformation, and fake news that people talk about. We have to do better than that. So that's the first premise. Second, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Finance covered it, but I think it's important worth repeating. This is a pension fund. The money is being segregated, taken away from the control of central government. It is being placed by law as a trust fund. And trust funds have certain implications. The trustees would have a fiduciary responsibility to manage those funds for the beneficiaries, i.e. the workers. Mr. Speaker, I don't want us to underestimate the importance of this. The existing 1958, what we call pension, there is no segregation of, there's no fund. There is no fund. The only fund that exists in Grenada is the consolidated fund. And when all previous governments from 1984 onwards decided that they were not paying the pension, what happened? When you have structural adjustment or whatever financial issues the government going through, the first people that don't get paid are pensioners under that type of system because they are working, so they can't strike. They have no negotiating tool. It's happening right now in the United Kingdom. So there's no security in the 1958 pensions. There is none. There is no segregated fund. There is no trust fund. There is no security. The government isn't putting no money aside. And make no mistake, Mr. Speaker, if you work for 15 years or 18 years, if you do not meet the minimum length of service, according to the job, you still have to dead. If you're dead, you're not getting nothing. If you want to resign and move on, you're not getting nothing. And I'm saying nothing deliberately as opposed to anything. So, Mr. Speaker, the existing pension system only has security in the hope that you meet the minimum length of service, whether it's 22 or 26 and a half years or 20 years or whatever the case is. And you don't have to hope you have a solvent government. Or worse yet, or better yet, a caring one. Because you had a solvent one before June of 2022, but they didn't care. So they refused to pay it. And we paid it. And let's make no mistake, let's not pretend. When we got into office, Mr. Speaker, the Pension Reform Act that eventually came here, and all the groundwork towards the same pension reform legislation that we passed here was already done by the new National Party administration. So don't come here and try and deceive the people and lie and pretend that this Pension Reform Act somehow miraculously happened after the election. You had already retained the International Monetary Fund to do all of the reform work, to do the exact same thing that we've done. So tell the nation the truth. Tell the public servants that you are never going to pay them that $75 million in retroactive pension. You are going to try and institute pension reform and not pay the retroactive pension. So when I walked into office, the IMF already had the question and the work done, which the Ministry of Finance already had. So why do we have to do this? If the pension is good, it is good. Are we okay with teachers at TAMCC having no pension fund? Or the Planning and Development Authority or the Stadium Authority? There are other statutory bodies that we have to look at. GAFIN and all of these entities. Are these people not working? You think this is a benefit to me? It's not a benefit to me. I'm not a public servant. Just like my learned and distinguished friend there, by the sweat of thy brow, I shall eat thy bread. If I don't work, in fact, for lawyers, they say you work until you're dead. So there's no personal benefit for us in advocating this. So when we talk about countries, we genuinely care about the people who work. Let us give them what is due. Let us help. Nothing in life is guaranteed. So are we going to say because there's a risk of having a pension fund that you don't have one? The distinguished former president of the Senate is sitting here, a lifelong, probably the most renowned living trade unionist in the Caribbean. He would not have said to me that because there's a risk that the pension fund at Caribbean Agro or Grenlick may go bottoms up if the guys don't manage it properly, that we shouldn't put in a union agreement, that there should be a pension agreement. No. So I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, there really is, in my view, nothing else to say that. In fact, there will be more orders seeking to add more statutory bodies to this. Because we understand pension. The strength is in numbers. The strength is in numbers. And it is the strength in numbers that will ensure that there is no such thing as outliving the pension. Right? Because what the pension fund is going to seek to do, Mr. Speaker, from its investment perspective, is invest in things that will create employment, so that those who are working and contributing to the fund can help assure those who have already retired that they will continue to earn a pension. That is the link between the young and the old. And I say this repeatedly, you could only go to places in small countries, relatively speaking, like the Netherlands, and you'd see how they've been able to use their pension funds to drive the economic development of the Netherlands and to make it a far more successful country than it otherwise would be. So, Mr. Speaker, all I'm saying is, this is simply meant to add to the already existing cohort of public workers, statutory bodies. I think we went further to say we are going to encourage private employers, particularly small private employers, who would otherwise be challenged in having a pension plan to come on to the scheme. And then finally, Mr. Speaker, again, you know, we can't deliberately mislead the public. And we owe it to read before we come and talk. A pension plan that is now being set up has administrative costs associated with it. It has set up costs associated with it. What the government is saying is that we, the government, will undertake to pay for the 5 years all of the administrative costs associated with the setting up of the pension plan. That's all we're saying. What is this thing about cover and food? I mean, what is this? Someone who's joining the plan now, the plan is now being set up. The trustees, the trust fund, people have to be appointed, they have to be paid trustees' fees. We are saying we'll cover all of these administrative costs so that it does not come out from the pension fund itself. Therefore, guaranteeing that at a minimum for the first 5 years, there is no cost associated with the running of the pension that will be paid by the pension fund itself, and that the government is going to underwrite that cost. And I want to make one final point about we talking about guarantees and so on. The government, the cabinet of ministers, in my absence, because I was in cabinet on the day, took the decision to pay past service contribution, 100% of the past service contribution for all employees. The recommendation was 50 from the actuary. So, just so that people understand what past service contribution is, we say from the date you started working with the government when there was no pension, when no contributions were being made on your behalf, the government is still going to pay that contribution. In some cases, that means 10, 12 years, maybe even more. So when we start talking about we care about people, and we care about poor people, I mean, this is simply, Mr. Speaker, the right thing to do. At least for the benefit of the people who work for and on behalf of Greening. I hope, Mr. Speaker, that I've answered the questions that were raised. Thank you.
Yes, so that was our beloved Prime Minister there. Boy, I love to see him just like that. All right, when he gets to that point, he just let it go. And I'm certain others can say the same thing. I love when he said, you all need to read. Read. Yes, you go into parliament and you yap, 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 read. So the PS explained a little about the implementation of the new pension.
Thank you again for having me to share an update on our pension implementation. We are in the month of January 2025, and as we know, the pension took effect January 1st, 2025. So we are expected to do the deductions as of January 2025. We are in a position where we are going to be deducting the full 3 and 6% at the end of January, as opposed to the 1.5 and 3% bi-monthly in line with the normal pay cycle. So we just want our members to know that at the end of January, you will see the full deductions from your salary as opposed to half and half. Going forward, from February, you would see the normal way in which it would be done, half by the first period and the next half by the second period. We are quite aware of the fact that we may have some challenges with regards to the application of the deduction, in that some people may be affected in terms of the exclusions. With regards to the data on the system, some people's information are not as accurate as it should be. So we were able to comb through as far as it is possible. So it may be possible that some people's deduction may not have been applied the way it was intended. So we have already agreed to meet with our finance officers so that we can explain the whole process of remedying whatever situation that may occur as a result of the incorrect application. So we are quite on top of things with regards to that. So we just want our members to know, in the event that the deduction was not applied to your salary correctly, we will fix it as soon as it is possible. We are extremely happy that we've gotten to this point, but we understand the importance of us putting systems in place to allow for all of our public officers to be able to retire with a retirement benefit. We know the pains that can occur if people do not have a pension. So with the pension taking effect from January 1st, we are grateful that we are able to support each other in that vein, so that at the end of our tenure in the public service, all our public officers will be able to receive a pension to support their livelihood after work. We are happy too that our public officers have been coming forward and expressing their gratitude, and they're looking forward to seeing how their money is being invested and the returns, and they are very excited, and we are excited for them, and we trust that everything will go just as we plan and anticipate, so that at the end of the day we all benefit. The state will benefit, our public officers will benefit, and our entire nation will benefit, because we do know that the cost for pension lies on all of us.
Thank you very much there, PS Marshall. You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much indeed. And I realize the internet is giving a little problem tonight, but let's go to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with the aid that they have delivered for people here in Grenada. Our beloved Prime Minister spoke about it today.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the National Disaster Management Agency received 21 containers from the King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center from the government and people of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in support of the government and people of Grenada. A lot of the aid that is contained in the containers, Mr. Speaker, will directly benefit the residents of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, but it will also significantly strengthen NADMA's ability to better prepare, predict, respond to, and help with the recovery efforts when dealing with natural disasters. The items delivered is a long list of items, but they include things like forklifts, which actually puts NADMA in a significantly improved position, because you'll appreciate that for storage in particular. The warehouses both in Carriacou and in Manjalu is of significant height. And so it allows us to be able to pack storage items much better and to be able to access them, remove them, and to help to distribute them. So it is significant aid. The aid is to the tune of $5.3 million, and it is the single largest aid package that we've received from any nation post-Hurricane Beryl. So we think it's fitting that we go on record to thank King Salman and King Salman's Center, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, and the government and people of Saudi Arabia for their kind donation. The ambassador who is accredited to Grenada is based in Venezuela, and he flew in personally to hand deliver the 21 containers. A similar donation has been made to the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So, Mr. Speaker, as I explained at the handover ceremony yesterday, when we travel for a reason. And the 21 containers is proof of that. Thank you very much.
Yes, so again, we want to thank our beloved Prime Minister there. I mean, he explained this thing so nicely. Saudi Arabia gave humanitarian aid totaling $5.3 million, 21 containers full of stuff to Grenada. This is no joke investment. So we are internally grateful for that. I'm having some problems here with the internet tonight. But folks, the reason why the opposition side can't contribute meaningfully in the parliament is because that's Kate Lewis. That's Kate Lewis. I don't know what she's looking at. You know, some people say Sheen, some people say other things. I'm not certain. I don't know what she's looking at there while in the parliament. Look at her. Kate Lewis, she's paid a hefty sum as a member of parliament. I think they increase the amount to $5,000 for every MP. She's given $10,000 as constituency allowance. And look at her. Look at her. That's Kate Lewis. Look at the woman. Look at her. MP Kate Lewis on a phone, just doing any old thing, which is rather sad and disrespectful to the core.
But I think we need to get more into these practices so that we can conserve our own water. Mr. Speaker, I just have two questions. Measures like these are their own desalination plants and so I noticed that was used very effectively in Caracas.
Yeah, so and that's the sad part of all of this. These folks, they go to the parliament unprepared, ill-prepared, have no preparation, nothing of that sort. You know, it's just sad, extremely sad.
I just have two questions.
Extremely sad. That's Kate Lewis. That was Kate Lewis, huh? You know, they just don't care. They don't care about taxpayers' money, in my belief. They get a salary, they get the allowance and so on. And that's how they function. Folks, tonight I'm having some problems with the internet. I'm dropping and coming back in and out. So what I will do, I'll cut off the program for tonight and restart the entire thing and continue for the program tomorrow. Because it seems as though there is a problem with the internet, right? There's a problem in the area, but it seems as though there's a problem tonight where it's buffing, cutting off, coming on. So I will, cut off the program, cut it short, and start back tomorrow morning.